This morning we're going to take on making an outdoor flag using some everyday items. Some of the things that you'll be using will be Decolorant. This is what will take the color out of fabrics that already have a tint or have been stained, and we're going to try it for the very first time to see if it will create our blank canvas. We're going to be using, we'll need some sponge brushes or some throwaway sponges to use to apply the decolorant. You'll need some fabric, and for me, what got me to thinking about the outdoor flags was I have a bunch of fabric from showrooms that are old and discarded, and so we'll be removing the tags from them, and we'll be using these to try our decolorant on to put our spring composition, whatever you choose to stencil on over this once the color is removed from the interior. You could also do it on this beautiful background, but I thought, why not try the decolorant? I've always wanted to. You'll need something to put on your flag. You'll need to find your stencil. Now I use some Amy Howard stencils. They're just my favorite. I also make my own stencils that have the mesh background. You can do that. In this instance, I'm going to be using some of Amy Howard's and some characters here and just some things that remind me of spring. So perhaps these flowers down here. We'll see as we go along. Also, what am I going to use to put the color back on the flag? The flag that will stay outside, whether it's burning hot sun or raining. And I thought, well, I can do the ink, but this time I'm going to be trying to use ceramic paint on fabric. So I've just got a bundle of colors that I'll be using. I'll decide once I decide on my stencils, but I've got all kinds of fabulous colors that I could use. That is ceramic ink directly on fabric, and we'll see how that works as well. So come join me today as we turn a piece of material into a flag.
All right, so first I chose the fabric for my flag. You'll want a stiff linen or cotton duck in a bright solid color that's 12.5 inches across by 17.5 inches long. That's the perfect size for a garden flag. Since mine came from a fabric showroom, it had 2 hanging grommets at the top, but you can pick a couple of half-inch grommets up from your local craft store for a few dollars, or even fold the top over about 1 inch and use invisible fusing web to create a loop to hang your flag from its metal stand. In case of spills, be sure the surface that you're working on is protected from chemicals and the paint that you're going to use. I use a large paper bag or butcher paper and follow it up with parchment paper. I'm also wearing thin protective gloves only while using the decolorant, as they state that this may irritate your skin. So use anything from like a pair of hair coloring gloves to heavier rubber gloves when you're using decolorant. I'm wanting to create a haloed area on my garden flag so that my stencil will pop. So I'm going to use a generous amount of decolorant for about 5 to 10 minutes on my fabric. Now, I've never used this before, but I have seen videos of this used on clothing, so I thought I'd try it out. Apply a thick layer using 1.5 to 2 inch sponge brush and scoop directly from the jar, applying it until the fabric is saturated. It's thick and sticky like pudding, but it's going to seep through, so make sure your countertop is well protected. And because my stencil will take up a good portion of the fabric, I'm covering a large area with my cross hatches. Using decolorant is a 3-step process. First you apply, which I did, and then you heat activate, which I'm now doing with my heat gun. Be really careful. If you get too close, it may catch on fire, but just blow it out. And then you're going to have to wash to deactivate and remove the chemicals. The directions for Decolorant states that the best results happen when working directly on cotton fabric. And I really didn't read my label until after this project was completed. So I didn't realize it was 64-36 polyester to cotton. That's why I didn't get a clean, clear removal of color. You can see it's kind of purplish here. And I ended up repeating the first step and applying more decolorant to see if I could get even better results. So here I go with my second application, wanting to make this purplish shade and take it down to a much lighter, I was hoping for a white shade, but again, I applied in the same procedure with the crosshatches, thoroughly saturating, moving around the fabric, and letting it sit for 5 to 10 minutes before washing the decolorant and the chemicals out so that it's deactivated. And then I actually went ahead and when it was dried, I ironed this fabric because who wants to stencil on a wrinkled fabric? It really doesn't help your stencil look clear and crisp, so definitely do that as part of the process. Well, after this second decolorant use and then washing, it actually lightened up considerably. And it wasn't purple anymore. It actually was kind of a yellowish cream colored. But it wasn't enough to impress me with the results. However, I do take all the blame on this as I wasn't using 100% cotton. So, oh well. I can still make a fabulous flag now and try the decolorant on something that is 100% cotton in the future. Like, I have my eye on this great jean jacket that I want to add some stencil decoration to. We'll do that later. See how it's lightened up considerably? That looks much better than that purplish blob that was there before. So after washing and drying and ironing, I'm ready to start with my stencil. I'm going to be using a mesh stencil. The stencil will stick to the fabric and then I can press the ink through the mesh and I'll have everything connected. Unlike one of the hard mylar stencils, you sometimes have to paint after you take the stencil off from your surface because all of the letters are not connected. With mesh, it's beautifully connected. To smooth this down, burnish from the center out. This works best on a tight, flat weave. The nubbier the fabric, the greater the possibility that the ink will seep underneath because the mesh stencil is going up and down with the bumps. This fabric is actually great for a mesh stencil. I secured where I wanted to put it with a piece of tape, and it also covered a little label from the maker. And of all the colors I decided to go with, I went with a dark green for the main words. I want people to be able to read this from the sidewalk, and on the light color or in the sunshine, the dark wording is going to stand out really well. So the ceramic paint I'll put on like a little squirt of toothpaste on my toothbrush there, on my chalk art spreader, gel art spreader. It's a spreader for anything that you're using with stencils. And I'm going to squeegee or press at a 45-degree angle and drag the spreader across the stencil, pressing the ink through the mesh. I work from the inside out, holding the stencil with my other hand to help you control the application. This is going on so smoothly. It's working like a dream. Load up as much as you need. Fabric actually takes more ceramic paint, or if you're using the gel art ink, because it's going to absorb into the fibers. It's not going to sit right on top as if you're doing this on a plate or a piece of wood. So it absorbs a little bit into the fabric, so you end up using a couple more squeezes than you normally would. Kind of tricky when you get to the edges, and sometimes I put tape around the whole stencil, but I thought I had enough room, and if I turn my hand and work very carefully, you'll see I can get everything in without having a mistake and going off of the stencil and onto the fabric on the outside of the stencil. So almost done here. This is so quick to make these flags. It's incredible. Just a very short amount of time. What I also like about crafting your own garden flag is you can have whatever saying you want on it. You know, if you want to celebrate 4th of July or Hanukkah or anything, any time of year, you can create this. So I was really excited to do this project. Okay, so I didn't use a lot of colors for the basic stencil. I used one, the boxwood green. But after this, and oh yeah, here it comes. It's looking crisp and clean. I love it. Not a mistake on there. So good. Anyway, after using just the boxwood green on here, I can now dress it up a bit by using a few other colors. I'm going to use some other stencils also, and because this is for a spring into summer garden flag, I'm going to use 2 cute bunnies and a flower in the center below. Those are my bunnies there. I'm going to cut them out, giving enough room, and if I don't worry about it because I'm going to put tape around them so that I don't make an oops on the flag of another color outside of where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to use white ceramic paint for the bunnies, and that's going to show up well in this background. So I just press it down, burnish it over, and again, because this stencil was cut so close to the bunnies, that's all I had, room I had, I'm going to use tape to carefully put around the border of this, so that I'll keep the ink off the surrounding fabric. Now I'm using the heavy duty blue tape. There's my ceramic ink in white, and I'm going to have everything I'm using listed in the description to this video. So if you're interested in seeing what I used, please check that out. Anyway, the tape. You can use whatever tape that is going to give you a strong hold. Blue is basically the strongest. And then you could do green, the green colored tape. I like 3M blue tape, but you know, whatever works for you, go for it. It also doesn't ruin the fabric or what you're stenciling on in this case. So I'm so sorry. I'm just realizing that I did not have this really under the camera's eye. So I'll apply the ceramic ink just like I did for the saying up above, and you'll get to see how that looks in just a minute here. Sorry. And then I'm going to make the, oh, there we go. There's the bunnies, all done. And I'm making the top flower orange. You can do all kinds of designs. You can take a little paintbrush and do dabs of different color on here, but sometimes simple is best. And that's how I feel with this one. I've got a beautiful color for the flag. I've got my words that you can read in kind of a deep grass green, and my frolicking bunnies at the bottom, and a couple of flowers. So the other flower, I'm going to use yellow. Again, I could have used gel art ink on this fabric, but I wanted to experiment with the waterproof ceramic paint on fabric. Plus I have so many more colors to choose from in the ceramic ink because I do a lot of mugs, so I just decided to go for it. I think a lot of times I really like doing things like stenciling because it's so calming for me. It's something I can do. It's something when I finish, I have a wonderful product that I can share with others or use myself. And it's kind of like people who love to color. Ooh, perfect. No smudges, everything looks great. Got a little tiny piece of tape left there on the flag. Get that off, there you go. And it looks like I have a little dot of white at the bottom. I'm not gonna fret about that. It could have happened when I lifted the stencil. I'll probably come back in, and if I feel like someone could see it from a distance, I'll just use a light green pen and just kind of dot it on that, but I'm not going to worry about that. So for my final flowers near the bunnies, because I decide, you know, it's great when it's all lined up, but I'm going to take these to the edge. I'm going to choose those long-stemmed, almost wildflower-like flowers from another stencil, again, from AMakersStudio. And I'm going to just run them across in a line to the edge, and they'll be a light pink. And there you go. This is a fun, easy to make garden flag that once dry, takes about an hour. You can add to a wrought iron flag stake and dress up your yard and welcome the season. I think I priced around and I got a flag stake for my garden about $5 at Walmart. There's the final. There's a couple of dots of water on the side. I had been sticking my stencil in water. If you'd like to make this for your yard, I'll include everything I used in the video description. Thanks for watching Remade with Love. Please follow me and subscribe to Remade with Love on Facebook and YouTube.